to get some of our guests live into studio and have a sit-down conversation with them. But what's the construct? The construct largely is around the Israel-Hamas conflict, which is fast brewing into a war and multiple dimensions. Day 21. The larger question is there an attempt to broad brush the Palestine issue and Hamas under it itself? So give Hamas a kind of cover fire. And how long or straight is this ideological continuum? Because today is also the 27th of October, ladies and gentlemen, the day the Indian Army actually landed and allowed and saved Kashmir from the kind of brutality that was being meted out. So what happened back in 1947 into 2023, different regions, but a similar ideology or doctrine saying that anybody who does not follow our path needs to be wiped out or done away with. Now, does that have moorings in Bharat is a question we'll try and understand, and of course the larger geopolitics of it within the Middle East and how much of it will affect Bharat's growth story. So let's debate the attempt to try and broad brush Hamas under the Palestine issue.
Hello, Moto.
Will there be a negative impact of this war on Bharat's growth story, the larger aspect, but plenty of aspects which we should speak on? Joining us this evening, let's start from the far corner. D.K. Giri is with us, Sangeet Ragi, Professor Sangeet Ragi with us, Abhijit Majumdar, a quasi-colleague and also an analyst, an expert and a regular on our shows, and of course another person who I have great respect for and largely has been with us via the internet, link from far away, but today is sitting right next to me. Sir, good to have you with us, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra.
Pleasure and congratulations on these absolutely marvelous studios. They look so subtle and so smart.
Thank you very, very much. We'll take that as a compliment and let's get on, ladies and gentlemen. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, this attempt to broad brush Hamas under the overall Palestine cause. All those who have raised concerns about Palestinian citizens have never asked this question: why is Hamas holding them back? Why are the neighboring Arab nations not opening their borders and saying Gazan civilians can go? Why are they not asking Hamas, why have they got more than 200 people hostage? These questions don't seem to be asked, but sympathy, oh no, so many people are dying in the Gaza Strip.
Well, when it started on 7th of this month, there was absolute shock around the world. We in India were horrified that something like this, and on such a scale and in the depraved manner that it happened, could actually happen in this time and age, where human rights, concern for human values had a certain kind of a basic standard. Now all that vanished in one cruel stroke on 7th of October. So we thought maybe this world reaction would last for a while, and perhaps finally that message would go and Hamas would be put to a stop by, if nothing else, by the voice of the world. But that did not happen. In fact, Hamas had its propaganda plan ready even before 7th had turned into 8th October. And look what happened. All over Europe, in America, people came out and protested in favor of Hamas.
Right.
And merged Hamas, as you very rightly said, into a Palestinian cause. The second thing, and even more disturbing, was students in universities in America, especially Harvard, who went on a propaganda drive saying that the Palestinian cause is the foremost for us and foremost for our people. Till yesterday, when the American Senate passed a resolution condemning that. So what we are witnessing today is violence combined with the power of propaganda confusing the issue. So Hamas has gone into the background, the Palestinian cause has come in front. So I think it is time that we sort of try to filter the right from the wrong. Wrong meaning Hamas, and the right meaning the larger people of Palestine who deserve
and
to
the
be
entire
heard.
overall two-state issue. But somewhere, Professor Sangeet Ragi, did those who stood up to question Israel's offense criticize Hamas's terrorist activity and butchering?
Anand, remember, if you read the, Article 6, Article 15 and Article 16 of Hamas, then the whole ideology comes crystal clear that it is a land of the Waqf. That means it's an Islamic land. Once it is an Islamic land, it cannot be shared by anyone. So they completely deny the existence of a Jewish state on Israel, despite the fact that in the history, even in Jewish land, even in the Bible, there is a description about the Jewish land, and there is a history of almost 2,500 years back. But Hamas is, putting a position that there cannot be a Jewish land over there, number one. Secondly, it is invoking pan-Islamism. And remember, the violence is the instrument that Hamas has used. The most shocking point that I realize, that the way it butchered the children, the deprived people, the armless people, nobody criticized. I didn't come out any organization saying that, look, this is not the Islam that we celebrate. This is not the ideology of Islam. On the other hand, when Israel retaliated, after days or 2 days, when Hamas gave a call that on the Friday, you remember, before Friday evening, that I appeal all the Muslim to come on the street. And the very next morning, even in India, in Calcutta, in Lucknow, Aligarh, everywhere in this country, the prayers were dedicated for, the Hamas.
Even in Jammu Kashmir,
Even in Jammu Kashmir. So this pan-Islamism, then the question was that why the people in this country, particularly the Muslims in the country, were fighting for the cause which is limited to a kind of a conflict between Israeli forces and the Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. Two questions that came up. One, that it is a humanitarian cause. So the valid question was that when 4,50,000 Hindus were, thrown out of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, where were these people?
Correct.
Did they raise the question of human rights? Just because they happen to be the Hindus, the most displaced people. Nobody is raising that kind of one. Number one. Number two.
Jammu Kashmir is not just Hindu. It's every non-Muslim or every Muslim who stood up also against them. They were also butchered. But the fact is, Christians, Sikhs, Hindus, everybody had to leave. It was cleansing, ethnic cleansing.
It was ethnic cleansing. Secondly, the point is that why, if it is, I'm raising a very different questions. Probably nobody has raised this question, but I'm, mustering this courage to ask and put it before your audience. That the second thing that they are my brothers. They are. What is my rista? La ilaha illallah. Right. So tomorrow a definite question comes in mind that tomorrow if there is a conflict within, and if you talk to the people in the army and they said that sometimes we have to, someday, God's sake, suppose that there is a war, we have to fight 2.5 fronts war in this country. So if there is a conflict with, are the people who are at raising the same question, raising the same slogan of pan-Islamism. Why I am saying so? When there was a CA movement in this country, then there were political parties like OSC saying that,
correct, but Sangeet, this is a convenient argument and there is a reason why. The Houthis attacked Saudi Arabia. At that time, where happened this whole thing about religion binds us all? when these nations are fighting with each other, at that time this whole concept gets is vanished.
No, it is just like that. You know, what happens that within the brothers, you know, we fight. But when you have to fight against others, somebody, we and they, you know,
the
in
entire
nationalist
othering comes
discourses,
into play.
Then you fight against, you know, within.
But this political cover fire, see, all right, religious fundamentalism is one part. You may have somebody who's a cleric and whose radical ideology, etc. But there is politically also cover fire that's being given. Everybody is wanting to watch their words. They'll talk about the cause of Philistine or Palestine. But they will never say what Hamas did is wrong. Then they will say, oh, it's a 50-year-long war, you got to look at it in perspective, etc. Abhijit Majumdar.
Anand, you have to understand the dominant voices in media, academia, who we usually hear. Now, social media has sort of course, disrupted it a fair bit. But the dominant voices are of the left. And left and Islam share this, you know, this bond against any non-authoritarian democratic, against the entire democratic world, liberal world. In fact, they, you know, they are parasites to those kind of democracies, and they achieve their goals. However, left and Islam cannot coexist together. In every, if you look at any communist country, Islam is butchered. In Islamic countries, the left is this thing, but they come together globally to, so left, while left is mostly unelectable worldwide, the poor don't trust it, nor does it trust the poor to vote. But Islam provides street power for the left. Left provides intellectual firepower to Islam. So that is how this happens, and that is how public opinion has been, you know, traditionally shaped so far. Now that is getting disrupted. See, here India's role has come into play in this Israel-Hamas, Israel-Palestine conflict. I don't see them as different here, because you know, the fodder to Hamas, from manpower to you know, filling up the ranks with sons, with funds, money, tacit and direct support, everything comes from the ground, from the people there. So in my opinion, they are not separate. That is one. Now, you know, in this conflict, we see that the world, you know, the world order has changed from the earlier this thing where Israel is only supported by the US and West, and Middle East, the Arab nations are all sort of up against Israel. If you notice that most of the Arab nations, especially Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc., apart from perfunctory noises about you know, human rights in Palestine, they have kept quiet. In fact, one of the theories is that this whole conflict is to derail the you know, the Abraham Accords,
European corridor, and also the Abraham Accord. We'll come to that larger aspect in just a bit, the back half of this conversation. But DK Giriji, before I come across to you, we just want to play out an audio conversation that was released by the IDF between an Israeli defense officer and a civilian lady in Palestine. Let's just listen into this.
محمد
ايوه
كيفك؟
ايوه
بحكي معك ضابط من الدفاع الاسرائيلي. انا عشان اقول سلامتك بدي تنزل ضروري لاتجاه خان يونس. لاتجاه خان يونس ضروري. انا بديش تخاطر حالك، فمشان هيك بدي تنزل لاتجاه الجنوب لاتجاه خان يونس.
مسكر كل الطرق. طيب
يا عمي محل ما انت موجود في المكان، انت لازم وين سكر الطريق؟ حماس؟ عندك ايش؟
ايوه صحيح.
وين سكر الطريق؟
عن شارع صلاح الدين.
صلاح الدين؟
ايوه.
كيف سكر الطريق؟
بوجه الناس مش حد يطلع، ما عاد الناس بيطلع بوجههم.
اما شو يعني حطوا سيارات شو تسوي؟
ايوه.
كيف بالضبط؟ فهمني. تفضل انت شو بتعمل؟
كيف انت السيارات اللي بيطلعوا بوجههم مو بيرجعوا.
اما كيف هم سكروا الطريق؟ فهمني.
يعني كيف بتلاقي ناس
هم يطلقوا نار على الناس اللي بدهم ينزلوا؟
ايوه.
Now, there are these conversations where the Gazan civilian is saying Hamas is not allowing us to leave, get out, we want to get out. There are conversations between a Hamas terrorist cadre who's saying, see the number of people I have butchered and this is what it is. And he's telling his father, see, I have sent you the video of how I have butchered them. And the father is saying, why did you do this? Come back. And he says, no, there is no coming back. Now it's aar ya par. Either we win or we die. That's the kind of how many people in India who are batting for this Palestine or trying to broad brush the entire Hamas butchery have tweeted this or taken cognizance of this DK-giri? Why?
This is unfortunate. The reactions from India is really confused, and even the political parties, there is no unanimity. It affects us very deeply. One of your questions was whether it is geopolitically affecting us very deeply. Our economy, our politics will be affected by it. And I saw a video that Indian soldiers it goes back long ago. Indian soldiers released Palestine from Ottoman Empire. There's a video doing that. So, we are deeply linked. Congress regime supported Palestine for obvious reasons, as you know, and it goes to the credit of our Prime Minister. He dehyphenated our relationship with Palestine and Israel, So, the reactions, I did a piece that world reactions to this crisis, and reactions from India is sadly confused.
But why is it confused is my question.
That is largely to do with the Israelis as well, because Israelis, I think their PR is the worst in the world. They believe in their firepower, they believe in the solid support they have, and they feel that they have a legitimate cause. Now they have a legitimate cause, but they don't do anything to educate the people. Whereas the other side, left and Islamic fundamentalist, their media presence and their street presence is much bigger. I told the Israeli embassy spokesman here, I said, your PR is horrible, you don't tell anything to anybody, So that is a problem. That is why people do not know.
But there is also this mentality, Mr. DK-giri.
Sure.
As you make these observations, yes, narrative building is an issue, PR is an issue.
Yeah.
But there is this mindset. The mindset is inherent, isn't it? Isn't the mindset that says what the Hamas did, let's just not talk about it. Let's just focus on what Israel is doing.
Yeah, that's rational.
And entities like IUML are deeming what the Hamas is doing as resistance. So you enter a place, you butcher innocents and babies at that, and you burn them alive, you parade them naked on the streets of Gaza after brutalizing them. This is resistance.
No, I agree with you. They do it for their purposes, their vested interest. But you see, this is again the reaction to this crisis. We are not looking at the cause and effect. We are looking at the history. See, history is always there for everything.
No, I am looking at the effect.
Sure, no, I am not talking. I agree with you.
Effect here, sir, because if these are Indian citizens who are actually saying that let's broad brush this and say let's legitimize this, find a way of legitimizing this,
no, that is
then
stupid.
we as
I don't
Indians should be
agree at all.
concerned because tomorrow they may do the same here in our country.
No, I don't agree at all. That is stupid. That's why I am saying the analysis itself is very muddled. You have to look at the causes. 7th October, then what happened afterwards. Don't go back to history. And do people know? That's why I said the PR is bad. Israel offered 5 times two-state solution.
Yeah.
And all 5 times Palestine, not Hamas, all Palestine refused it, including Yasser Arafat with 3 infamous no. Where he said no existence of Israel, no negotiation with Israel, no peace with Israel. Even Palestinians do not want an Israel state. That is the problem.
It is not just the two-state solution. He was about to come and he said, I was worried I will be assassinated. That's the explanation he gave later on, but he never turned up. But sir, you see, the thought continuum does exist. If this was the kind of brutality that was meted out to the non-Muslims in Jammu and Kashmir in 1947 between the 22nd and the 26th of October, it was a similar brutality that was meted out in the 90s in our country, and it's what we have seen manifest the 7th or 8th of October. So is there not an ideological continuum, and is the argument then made that they may have ideological moorings in Bharat also?
Or to put it another way, 26/11 they could have said, and Pakistan in fact tried to make it that way, that look, we in Pakistan are good, but don't blame us for what is happening internally. So this kind of a confusion is quite normal for an aggressor, and this is what has happened in case of Hamas. They were well prepared on all fronts, not just on the front of terror, but also on how to reach out and sort of poison the minds of the world at large. Israel, since the question has been raised, was taken by surprise. So it took them some time to wake up and realize the enormity of what had fallen on them. So propaganda or reaching out to the world at large was a later reaction, and they've been slow at it, as anyone would be who has been attacked. You go to the police only after you recovered from the injuries or the surprise. So Israel has to be pitied for what happened to them, and it has to be sympathized with for what happened to their people. Something like that could happen to India, to any other country in the world. And I think Biden, in a statement the other day about India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, was hinting that don't confuse Palestinians with the issue of Hamas, because Hamas had planned it for a variety of reasons. He put it crudely, saying that because of this corridor. I don't agree with that. But what he was saying basically was, in his lucid, one of the lucid moments, was that please wake up. This could affect anyone else in the world. So your question whether it could affect India or our region, perhaps it could.
No, history is rife with such ideological continuum that is moored in this kind of barbarism, that justifies this kind of barbarism. Direct Action Day in our country? No Khali, Mopala riots. If you go back to history and even current day, Sartan se juda, what was the whole thought process? So,
one string. You may call it resistance, it is plain and simple jihad. The fundamentals of the whole issue is jihad. And what Sandeep ji just said about Waqf, that's one of the most potent weapons aspects of jihad. And India,
and Waqf Act, they have free run in
1995 Waqf Act is one of the worst legislations, most self-destructive legislations India has made. In its guilt trip, in Congress's guilt trip after Babri demolition, and to overcompensate for stuff, and we may in near future we may have a lot many Gazas here. We will have Gazas here, because Waqf land is once Waqf, always Waqf is the motto there in their on their website. So, these are just different faces of the same monster, same creature. And, it cannot exist without Hamas. A Palestine cannot exist without Hamas. The whole idea of, exterminating Jews and, this land hamara hi rahega, ye Hamas ke bina ho hi nahi sakta. Hamas will be there. It is that face that shows you the terror of the whole this thing, and then comes the victimhood, then comes the so it is all part of the seamless part of jihad, and this we should not have any, at least India, and I would say India that way has been waking up pretty quickly. We should not have any we should not be inventing excuses not to look at the
DK Giri wanted to say something, then I'll come to you, Sangeet Ragi ji.
Yes, well, I would not equate Hamas with entire Palestine. Palestine has been there for 100 years or even more. Hamas came only now, and Hamas should be exterminated. It's
but
a
Hamas
terrorist
got
organization.
elected by the Palestinians in 2000.
It's an even Hitler was elected, but it is a terrorist organization. They should be exterminated, and after that, the Palestine should be settled. We are for two-state solutions. Palestine, but I will not brush the entire Islam as jihadist actually. There are jihadists in Islam, but there are different interpretations of Sufis in Islam, and there are other.
Correct, but are the moderates calling out the radicals, sir? Ask that question,
No,
sir.
let me give you an example.
Even here, look at the
sure.
IUML is supposed to be largely moderate, even though it finds its DNA from Muslim
Anand,
League of
I'll give
Jinnah.
you one input.
The IUML took exception to Dr. Tharoor, didn't they?
IUML is not moderate, so I'm talking about the founder of Hamas.
But IUML says they are
Anand,
far
I'll give
moderate
you one
than
insight.
PFI.
The founder, one of the founders of Hamas, his son is giving testimony about the barbarity of Hamas. He is telling in the television how barbaric the Hamas are. They nail the civilians. You know, they use them as shields. They smuggle through these tunnels. So there are people
No,
who are
but that's
opposing
how the
Hamas.
Hamas. So
There are
who's calling
Muslims.
them?
Palestine ambassador is opposing
But
Hamas.
has the
Gandhian,
Palestinian Prime Minister opposed the Hamas, sir? Has
Sorry?
the Palestinian Prime Minister said no? Has he rejected the Hamas? Has Saudi
Palestinian
Arabia?
ambassador to United Kingdom has called out Hamas. He said we are for
Sir,
non-violence and
but the
negotiation.
Palestinian Prime Minister has not yet criticized the Hamas and said that the Hamas should allow the Gazan citizens and Palestinian people to leave
killed
Gaza.
if he does that.
He's not
He
said-
would be killed if he does that. The fellow sitting in UK, so he could say that. In Israel, in Palestine, you cannot. They are in total control over Hamas.
So you are holding the gun, you are nailing somebody, you are shooting somebody, and then saying I am victim. How is this possible?
No,
sir?
Palestinians are victims of Hamas. You are saying yourself,
Correct.
they are Hamas cruelty. So,
But who's calling them out?
Mahmoud Abbas cannot say it now. His ambassador sitting in UK could do that.
But our
It is same
leaders,
thing.
our voices within the political fraternity in our country and also within the Muslim community in our country, are they openly calling out the Hamas for their barbarity on the Gazans themselves? Are they
Ignore
doing
them.
it?
Ignore them. We have to support our government, and government has taken the right stand.
Sangeet Ragi.
We should not give them any legitimacy. You are in fact giving them credibility. They have no voice.
No.
Yeah.
It's easy to say let's not look there.
Yes.
But if that's going to be a problem, you cannot ignore a problem. You got to address it. No, you got to address
They are
it,
in
saying that
minority.
there has to be clarity. Yes.
No, Ananda, it is always said that they are in a small minority. I don't buy this theory, because look at when this country was partitioned, it is always argued that there was a small minority which was in favor of the partition and a dominant Muslim population didn't want. I completely find this a trash argument. Ultimately, it is the people, it was the mass support to the Indian Muslim League
Correct.
that led to partition of this
The
country.
votes
What
came from
happened there-
today's UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh,
yes,
Hyderabad, Telangana.
Secondly,
90% was for.
Secondly,
Yeah, 90% was for
yesterday
the
only
Jinnah.
somebody sent me a book today, and today only I was reading about the massacre in Calcutta. You know, the way
DF
it
action.
happened, and you know, Gandhi after 2-3 days, when the Hindus started retaliating, then Gandhi went to Calcutta and asked Gopal Pata that you please renounce the violence. You know, when the Hindus were victims. What I'm saying a little bit, I'm deviating from. Look, Turkey has called Hamas as the freedom fighter, right? In all Islamic
Qatar has
world-
not condemned. The
Qatar
Hamas
is-
leaders are
no.
sitting in Qatar.
Qatar, all the terrorists, the goons, those who are leading the terrorist organizations,
Taliban,
they are well placed
Hamas.
in Qatar.
All of them are in
All
Qatar.
are
Zakir
Qatar.
Naik
They
is
are
in
like-
Qatar.
Qatar is
funded
hosting them. Qatar is
Funded them
funding
$3
them.
billion.
You know, remember why I am worried. I am worried about my country. I am not worried about what is happening. 10,000 miles away from India. I am worried about my country. Because the moment there is a CAA, on the roads, hitting the roads in a minutes, even a puncharwala knows that what is going to how it is going to hamper his interest. You know why I always have been raising this question that look, for whom we are fighting, their descendants who partitioned this country, those people who from Afghanistan, from Bangladesh, Pakistan, they have been illegally infiltrated into the country. Their forefathers partitioned this country, and the Muslims of this country are hitting the states for them,
Batting for the illegals.
batting for them. This is a big concern. Why I'm saying that? Because pan-Islamism is ingrained in the theology of Islam. Until and unless Gandhi tried to respond it. Gandhi tried to respond it through spiritual Hinduism. Gandhi failed. political Islam can be responded only with the political Hinduism.
Sir, my argument, I have the deepest respect for the Mahatma, but him backing the Khilafat movement, which was supposed to be establishing a caliphate in Turkey, doing that led to what?
That is what I know.
And the irony is, Mahatma was supporting, advocating the Khilafat movement. Jinnah was opposing it.
Ambassador, I'm giving you on 4th of...
Yeah, he was opposing it.
Ambassador Sahab, on 4th of... Anand, interestingly, on 4th May 1940, Gandhi is writing in Harjan, a Muslim rule in India would always be preferable to me than the British rule. Can you expect Hindu Mahasabha supporting Gandhi on this count? Gandhi is writing in Harijan. I am on record to your audience. Gandhi is writing in Harijan, a Muslim rule in India will always be preferable to 4th May 1940.
Yeah, because around that time the seeds of partition had already been sown, because the Bombay province itself had been separated, Gujarat had been moved out.
Look,
so the seeds had been sown. And Mir Savarkar had predicted it.
Yes. 10 seconds. When the insurgency was at its peak in Jammu and Kashmir, what the Muslim countries were doing? They were also saying that they are the freedom fighters. We supported Palestine, but did Yasser Arafat or the Palestine leaders supported India on Kashmir issue? No. They worked as Islam, monolith Islam. There are a lot of divisions within them. I don't deny. But
they come
when
together
it came
when it
between
is
we and they did it as Hindu land, and therefore they were fighting.
Correct.
The only serious challenge is coming from the Arabic world now, Saudi and UAE, because they are smart. They know that the oil economy is, it's finite, and that is probably going to deal a blow.
Game of another 20 years.
No, it's not just about a game of one is the thought continuum, but the other aspect, and towards the end, we got the last 3-4 minutes, so let's focus on that. How much is it going to impact Bharat's growth story? How much is it going to stop our manufacturing process, exports? Because this entire region is in conflict now. You had the breadbasket on the one hand, which is Ukraine. That's going on for nearly 2 years. Suddenly nobody's even thinking about Ukraine, but it's still going. And now you've got this entire region where bulk of the trade passage happens. It's being choked.
I'll give you 2 examples. The judgment yesterday in Qatar. Now that is horrific judgment, especially when you see that the head of that company, the Omani company, he was allowed to go back to his country without even trial. But because they are Indians, and because Pakistan was instigating Qatar, they have been given the death sentence. The second thing is, even if it does not affect India directly, if the war spreads, let's say to Middle East, any part of the Middle East, we have millions of our people working there and contributing to the economy of all the Gulf states. If they start coming back, obviously all the remittances, we are the largest remittance receiving country in the world, quite a substantial portion from Gulf. We will be affected. Our exports will be affected. That is the economic part. But there is also the political part. That who do you side with? Do you abandon Israel to its devices? Do you side with Russia or China, or do you side with the voices of reason, even within the Arab world? So there are hard choices waiting in case the conflict persists and continues.
So what choices should we make?
I have a slightly different...
And will that have an impact going towards the general elections? Is this going to further create an opinion down the ground, or is it largely superficial within television news studios and on ground some other realities matter?
I have a slightly, and very quickly, Ananda, I have a slightly different take on this. I think, and very cynically, I think every developing or sensible nation has found opportunity in war. India is now one of the growing exporters of arms, etc., etc. So that is one aspect. India is already playing a outsized role, not just politically, diplomatically, but if you see the voice of Israel is massively amplified by Indians on social media, and that is bothering the left and other nations. So stuff like that. In this multipolar world where in some ways America's influence is this thing, there are two full-blown wars raging, one in Taiwan probably waiting to happen, etc. India should actually keep its head cool and see what is best for its own self-interest and play it well.
So far what we are doing is just engaging with all the nations. We are not part of any mediation process. I think we've got information to that extent also, that we are just looking at trying to get back to peace. The aspect is demolition of the terror infrastructure is something which we back Israel on. But we have also taken a clear position that we believe in the two-state philosophy of Israel and Palestine. So I think we've been clear, and we are not getting into any mediation at this point. We are saying let's engage, let's keep the engagement on, and Biden has also said let this not derail the Abraham Accords, the IME ECC, but there will be a delay. There are other strings who don't want this to happen. Sangeet Ragi, final word.
Certainly, I think,
and that will help. That will affect us.
I don't think that even in the Arab world or in the Middle East, all the Muslim countries want war to expand, because they also understand this, that this is going to harm them, very deeply to their economy.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the right stand on this very, very special edition. Thank you. We're going to take a very short break, but stay with us. On the other side, conversation with somebody who was trolled but recently has been trending for his movie UT69. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Deterring a full-scale conflict, and at the same time it will also provide an additional support to Israel in case of need. USA had earlier, last week also, USA had shot down a missile in the Red Sea which was launched from Yemen towards USA. There were certain troops who were injured. US Navy has said that Houthi rebels had launched that missile in the Red Sea, where USA tried to shoot it down. And also in the last few days, what USA has been continuously telling the world that it doesn't want the war between Israel and other nation to escalate into full-fledged conflict in the region. But at the same time, US is preparing all possibilities. Many warships have been sent into the region. High quality guided precision missiles were sent to the region, and there is a preparedness for any eventuality that US forces might see in that region. Meanwhile, Syrian war continues to go on. There are multiple factions in Syria who have been supported by many countries, including USA, Russia, Iran. We have seen USA siding along with the rebel forces. Then Russia and Iran are backing the al-Assad regime. So there are certain geographies which is controlled by the rebel forces. Then there are certain geographies controlled by the Assad forces, and these geographies keep changing with the ongoing war. Sometimes some faction take advantage of the situation, but then there are rebel factions, and there are numerous of them. We have seen some of which they have been receiving varying degree of support from various countries present in the region. Kurdish forces, they are also one of the stronghold, and they have been backed by USA in many ways. Then there are presence of Islamic groups, ISIS as well. We have seen USA and other nations fighting against the ISIS. At peak of ISIS, it has captured swath of Iraq and Syrian land. Then there are international involvement also. Sometimes Turkey government also gets involved. We have recently seen Israeli government striking Aleppo airport. Major cities in Yemen have been attacked by these countries. So the situation in Syria always remains very fluid in the last one decade, at least since the launch or since the beginning of the civil war that has started in Syria. But with the latest the latest strike of US forces into that region, it will remain to be seen whether this is going ahead towards a full-fledged escalation, where the countries like Iran, Syria, Russia, and the other country present in the Middle East region could also get dragged into this conflict, or this is just a preparedness from the USA side, as it has said, and a deterrent in the region that will ensure that the wars does not escalate to a full-fledged conflict, and the situation remains where it is right now. US missiles have targeted some eastern part of Syria which were used by Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces, and this is the latest that is happening in Syria, and the US military forces have termed these missile attacks as a way of self-defense, and they were conducted at two facilities in eastern Syria where the Iranian IRGC, the Iranian guards, are using these facilities to support Syria's government right now. And this is also happening in the wake of in the last 1.5 weeks several attacks have happened on US forces present in the area, and with the latest escalation that one can witness in happening in Middle East, US is also trying to send about 900 US troops.
Many would not contest if I were to call him controversy's child, because wherever he goes, trouble seems to follow, or somewhere there is a magnetic effect. From his point of view, he didn't ask for it, but it's come piling on him. What's UT69 all about, and a man who's trending non-stop? He's in conversation with us here at CNN News 18. Raj Kundra, welcome aboard to our studios and our...
Thank you.
And with you is Shahnawaz, the person who's actually convinced you to act in a movie where you wanted to tell your story.
Yep.
So let's start with UT69. What's the thought process behind this title? Ye UT69 kya hai?
So UT is the Kedi number that's given to everyone that enters Arthur Road jail. So UT stands for under trial, and there was a 4-digit number given to us, 6, 9 and 2 other digits. And I think because it's a dark humor, a slice of life film, tongue-in-cheek karne ke liye, we shortened it to UT69 only.
Yeah, and 69 has its own connotations for you.
Balance and peace. Balance and peace.
Balance and peace. So that's the other way of looking at it.
That's the only way we look
That's the only way we look at it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, seriously, neither do I. Neither do I. But एक और चीज़ है, I'm a little disappointed.
Why is that?
Everybody was hoping कि आप आएंगे, we'll have a chat and you would be all covered and then you would do the drama of opening the mask.
You're disappointed to see the face behind the mask?
No, I'm happy to see the face. I've been thinking for a while, अरे यार, let him drop it, it's okay.
So I dropped it.
So you dropped
No, I
it.
think the time had come to separate. So the mask and I have separated now. It was with me for 2 years, 24 days and 17 hours or so. Counted each and every day. And
But
every
there must,
minute.
why did you decide to wear the
So
mask?
I had taken a call when I came out of Arthur Road jail that I will keep this mask on, somewhere to hide the pain, somewhere that I was a little peeved with the whole media trial. And I said that जिस दिन मेरा clean chit आएगा या जिस दिन उस time तो clean chit की बात हो रही थी. Then 3-4 months later we decided that this film was going to be made. So then I told my director, I said, now I'll take off this mask the day either the trailer comes or the clean chit comes, whatever happens first. So the trailer happened, and I decided to just take off the mask. You know, Masked Man is a media created star. You know, I have one celebrity at home, Shilpa Shetty, and she's the star. For me, there was nothing else. And for this film, I think it needed something. So I just started wearing different color masks, started playing to the audience's request, to the trollers, to the media. You guys have created Masked Man, that media star. So I decided wear it and use it to my advantage. Somewhere I started playing.
See, but like you said, yin and yang, the good and bad of it.
Absolutely.
The same media that you say trolled you is the same media that is trending you. So,
I like it.
So
it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, it just comes a full circle. It does. But Shahnawaz, let me ask you, what made you think that you want to make it? He was planning to write a book. आपने बोला picture बनाते हैं.
You know, I'm sure if you would have read it, so you would have said कि यार book मत बनाओ, picture बनाओ इसकी. Because the notes that he had made me think कि this is not जो हमारी जेल का एक परसेप्शन होता है ना कि जेल ऐसी होगी वैसी होगी. This was not that. This was more on the lines of एक दिन कैसे बीता, what kind of people he met, what kind of inmates he had. 50 की जगह में 200 लोग, 250 people used to stay. So how do they go about every day? What are the challenges every day? सुबह उठने से लेकर के रात के सोने तक का चैलेंज क्या होता था. So that was really interesting. And I, as a filmmaker, I didn't wanted that opportunity to miss out. You know, कि पहले book बने फिर मैं book को adapt करूँ. I thought let's do this film first and then book second if at all it happens. So I wanted to grab on it. When I told him this is the route I want to take, and it's not a sob story route. It's a humorous route.
Yeah, tongue-in-cheek route.
It's a dark humor. And when I told him and I narrated him, so he was quite convinced because we didn't talk about the case, we didn't talk about his personal life or वो already बहुत हो रहा था, उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं थी. So he jumped onto it, he said yes. But then the real struggle began कि acting किसको ले, actor किसे बनाया जाए.
So who did he have in mind?
So he was throwing in names.
किसी को बड़ा हीरो लो यार, feel good, अच्छा हीरो लो मेरा रोल के लिए. मैं कोई नेम नहीं चाहिए मुझे. I want a newcomer. मैं newcomer.
That's why we said कि newcomer चाहिए and you know it's you. So
I was a shock.
That's how, I mean, like for me it was always, अगर ये फिल्म बनाएंगे तो राज के साथ ही बनाते हैं. Otherwise this film doesn't have any meaning. I didn't wanted any actor to act in it because वो act कर रहा होता. He has lived that. It was really fresh in his mind, and I wanted to portray because ये पहले भी कभी हुआ नहीं है.
Yeah, but tell me something. Do you like flogging yourself? Why would you want to go back and relive the entire trauma?
I was writing a book and I wanted the story to come out because somewhere I was still pained. I still carry this stone on my heart that there was a lot of misrepresentation. The factual information is still not out there, even till today. And because the matter is sub judice, I can't really talk much about it.
I know.
So I just decided that जब film आ रही थी, I said, yeah, you know, in this country, people read less, see more. So I felt that visually it'll be great. The challenge was playing myself, so I had to get into workshops. And if I was going to do this role as well in my life, I had to make sure that I did it properly. So I took a lot of workshops with acting coaches, with my director.
वहाँ पे मास्क उतारा.
हाँ, वहाँ तो उतारना पड़ता था ना. I had no problem with my friends and family. I just didn't want. I didn't want to give media access at that time. I just wanted to stay. I was dealing with a lot, and I was hurt, and I used that mask just to hide that pain. And you know what started as that became this crazy maskman thing, but it still didn't stop. I mean, I used to walk straight into any event. I would not stop and pose with that mask. I was not using it for that advantage, but I did play a little bit. I knew that people were loving it, so I started sourcing very interesting rang-birangi, alag-alag, different masks.
अलग-अलग मैं बोला ये बंदा source कहाँ से कर रहा है? आते कहाँ से?
I sourced a lot of masks. कुछ 70-80 masks हो चुके थे, which I've given all away now. But yeah, I think
The missus didn't have an opinion on it.
she respected what I said because she understood in the beginning. She goes, Raj, in the beginning it was something else, but now it's become something else. And I said, look, I didn't make it that. The media has made it. So I said, I'm using it because I have a film coming out whenever it happens, a year and a half from now. So it was a long journey. You know, the first 3 months was wearing it for something else, and the next 9-12 months was wearing it for reminding people, reminding the trollers. Continue trolling. Yes, I'm behind this mask, and yes, there are funny things.
After some time, you get such a thick skin that trolls don't matter.
Trolls don't matter
What they
at
say
all.
don't matter.
They make me stronger, in fact, and they had to keep remembering. If they didn't keep remembering this subject, then maybe the film would have suffered. I think somewhere the film is getting this advantage of masked man covering his face, that guy being Raj Kundra, and then Raj Kundra playing himself as well. I think there are some plus points and some firsts in this film, but I always tell everyone it's a single hero movie, and that hero is not me. That hero is our director. Because the way the story has been told is just so beautiful that, I mean, I'm in it, so you say it's a bias, but I actually enjoy, I don't get bored of watching this film. Others that we've shown this film to, who are not even related to me, have laughed and cried and enjoyed the film at the right moment. So I know we've created a great piece of content.
Good, ये दोनों अच्छा partnership है. Black and white. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
आपने
You
कहा ना
talk
yin
good
yang.
things about me, I'll talk about you.
Pat my back, I'll pat yours.
But yeah, that's what. But flirting around the case because you're saying it's sub judice. What triggered this all? Have you been able to put a finger on what actually triggered this? How did this happen?
Somewhere down the line, I feel I'm a scapegoat in all of this, and a lot of information misconstrued, factual information not presented properly, and I just seem to be the lowest hanging fruit in this whole equation of things that happened. And I think somewhere down the line, I'm collateral damage because I'm Shilpa Shetty ka pati. So that makes news for them, and on that news, there's a lot of things that can be done. So I have full faith in the judiciary.
So you feel you are collateral damage. You're not actually the target, but
I think there was a bigger story to it, and I think and I think you'll hear about it and see it soon when the time is right, when the clean sheet, the discharge happens. I'm sure a lot of things will come to light, but I just feel that there is a price that I paid to be a celebrity husband, and I don't mind it. I'll pay this price time and time again because, you know, that woman's the love of my life, and she also knows somewhere down the line that had I not been Shilpa Shetty's husband, itni badi news bhi nahi banti. But that's besides the point. I know that I'm not guilty of the allegations, and I know that when justice is served, that'll be my redemption.
it must have been tough, no, within the household also, because you got young kids.
Of course.
So how were you able to shield them from
Luckily,
all of that?
my daughter was very young. She was like 2 years old that
Yeah.
time. My son was about 8, 9. He's now 9 years old. He's 11 now. We told him a little bit, but enough for the mother to keep him protected and say that dad's gone for some questioning. When all the questions are fulfilled, he'll come back. So we thought, hafta 10 din, max. Every time, 3-4 din. And I told Shilpa, I said, this is getting difficult for me. because inside surviving in jail is a war, and you're in this jungle, and you tell me 3-4 days, so I have resources to last for 3-4 days. The minute you tell me 20 din aur lagne wale hain, tell me once and for all, so that I get those resources. I was living on biscuits and water for that time because you can't eat the food there, and there's no place to sleep properly. So you're battling. Every day is a new battle. To survive there, you need to understand how the system works. And there was no special treatment. You know, I was there amongst everyone else. A room that was made for 50 people had 250 people inside. We were sleeping one on top of another. There was no space to sleep.
But did you make friends there? Did you make
Associates.
Associates
Yeah.
there?
When I say you talk to someone for 63
connect in
days,
life
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
of course.
So I'm just saying.
I gauged a couple of people that I felt were also stuck in a system, and you know, I made certain friends. In fact, those guys, when they came out, were helpful to Shahnawaz. I said, look, this is my side of the story, but hear it from others also. Don't just hear it from me. So that it helped him when he had to sort of really fine-tune the film, fine-tune the recreating this jail altogether. So I made some associates. I'm in touch with them.
So did you come out reformed or conditioned?
Nobody can come out reformed from that place, and I wish that they would create an environment where you'd want to come out reformed. I feel that if you really do put a criminal inside and you tell him you're accused and you're under trial, he'll come out with 20 other plans to become worse because he was not treated well. There are ultimate human rights, and your fundamental rights are violated when you're inside jail.
कभी आपने ये सोचा कि यार ये इंग्लैंड छोड़ के लंदन छोड़ के इंडिया क्यों आया? Because from the time you've come, some controversy or the other has always, you know, held
Again,
on to you.
It is the price you pay, I guess.
From
for a little bit
IPL,
of success.
Rajasthan
Yeah,
Royals.
imagine.
Yeah,
From a
the ownership
IPL team
issue,
owner to
the betting thing happened.
Yeah.
And then, so did you not wonder, yaar?
Till today, I've never had to go in for anything, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
till then, it was fine. Jo marji bula lo, bol lo. But this was very unfair, the way it happened and how it happened. Like I said, I can't talk much about the case per se, but the way it happened was very wrong. There were no
But did you never
opportunities
get,
given.
see, for somebody who's risen from the rough
ground,
and
yeah.
you know and gotten to where you have, did you ever have an inkling, oh, somebody's out to get me or somebody's trying to fix me? Did you ever get a sense? I'm just asking.
It's a long story. I guess, in business or in life, you do, enemies happen. You know, you create enemies somehow, knowingly, unknowingly. So I feel that yeah, there are a lot of other forces that were in the background, but I can't say anything about them at the moment.
And now, after finishing this product, that is what is your story. And you, somewhere I've read that you thought that this is going to give you closure.
For me.
Has it given you closure?
See, there's still a lot of pain, and I know that the day I get my clean chit, because I'm very confident, I won't get my 63 days back. I won't get that respect back that was lost at that time, and the family and the drama and everything that happened. So there's always going to be that pain. There's always going to be a hole in my heart. But yes, this film helps me close by showing the world what I went through, which might not be relevant today, but later in life when that clean chit happens, then you say, yeah, that should not happen to anyone. You know, there was a flaw. And for me, yes, this film coming out is a kind of closure.
Would you want to do some things differently? I'm sorry, I'm doing bulk of the talk time. I'll come, but let me ask: would you, when you dial back, and sometimes you look back, so through IPL, Rajasthan Royals, and then your life here so far, what you lived in India, would there be some things that you would want to perhaps tune, correct?
I think I've just been collateral damage time and time again. Even at the IPL, when they said you're accused of betting, I thought given everyone an open book. I said, do an RTI, write to Delhi police and ask them, has Raj been involved in any betting? RTI comes back, no, he has not. We have no evidence of him betting. But still I was banned. And that was collateral damage. I had to exit from my team and things like that. So it's just unfortunate. And I think in life you have to just take it on the chin and just move on, you know. Shilpa always says that there's something good has to come out of it. Jo hota hai, chikli hota hai. I never used to see what then, but then later in life you realize. So even when the jail incident happened, whoever thought I'd be facing the camera and doing something like this? So life's been topsy-turvy, but then a stagnant life would not be fun, I guess.
At any point you thought, इसको करने को तो कह दिया मैंने, but ये कर रहा है. Is he actually doing it?
So तब तो बोल दिया, convince कर लिया कि करते हैं. But when he started taking workshops, so that was the correct way to go about it. So first month of workshop, when you used to go and visit, वो देख के I used to record and come back to office and discuss with my team. यार शायद थोड़ी जल्दी हो गई. मतलब
Give it time,
दुनिया में मिल सकते हैं, थोड़ी कोशिश करनी चाहिए. But then I gave my feedback. He understood. He took it really seriously. He worked on it, because in the early month he was acting. He was trying to act, and all I wanted was not to act.
Not to act.
Not
yeah.
to act, because and the minute he understood that part, because it's just
I
not
was
his
married to
part.
an actress. Yeah, I'm not an actor. I had to learn on the job. You know, you can't learn a car day one.
No, imagine all
CPR.
directors want somebody who can act, and when you start acting, they say acting mat
acting
karo.
मत करना.
So you say someone
Keep
is
it real.
acting कर रहा है.
हाँ, you have to keep it real.
You know, we use it as a कि क्या acting कर रहा है. You know,
But this,
acting मत कर.
this experience helped me keep it real. You know, every time he'd say, just go back to the day when this happened. This is the scene you're doing. And the environment he created was so perfect that I had goosebumps and I felt like I was back.
Did you shoot in Arthur jail anytime?
No,
No,
not
we
loud.
don't wish to.
We recreated the whole.
We recreated with the brief and everything how they described, the other inmates described. So we built a set and we shot the entire film in 19 days.
19 days.
One night.
Two-hour
Yeah,
feature film in 19 days. We worked 16 hours a day and we did it.
yeah, that was
So you shot the whole thing in 19 days.
19 days.
Wow. So what are your final message to the audience? What should they expect on the 3rd of November when they go to see it on the screens?
I think you're going to expect something different, something never seen before on cinema. A very unique storytelling based on a true story. Forget it's played by the person who was actually in that story, but you'll feel the connect, the emotions, the human story, and you'll go back with a smile. And I can assure you it'll be one hell of a content engaging audiences all over India.
So production, direction छोड़ दो, आप acting पकड़ लेते हैं.
अरे सर, आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर, अगर लोगों को पसंद आ जाए तो मैं शायद नहीं करूँगा. Never say never.
Please watch this film on 3rd November. अकेले मत जाओ please. लोगों को साथ ले जाओ. छोटी पिक्चर है. Every ticket count. And we promise that we will entertain you. This is something that I'm going to tell you. We will entertain you for sure.
तो यानी कि राज कुंद्रा बहुत रोए हैं अंदर जेल में, लेकिन आपको हंसाने का वादा कर रहे हैं. हाँ, little bit of dark humor if you can accept it. So UT69, thank you for dropping into our studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
In CENTCOM, and they are not going to Israel, by the way. And 16 attacks that USA has faced in Iraq and Syria in the last 10 days, 10 to 15 days, has been a reason why USA is deploying another warship also in the region, sending about 900 troops, sending THAAD batteries, patriotic missiles, and other weaponries that could not only defend US forces in the region, but also can provide a deterrence in the region. That is what US government has been saying. Meanwhile, the situation in Syria and in Middle East remains very fluid. There have been multiple attacks on US forces in the last few days, and in one of those attacks, about 21 US personnel were injured also. And these responses that USA have been doing, our USA side has saying that these are because of the escalation from the Iranian proxies in the region. Secretary of Defense Austin Lloyd has said that US Eisenhower and THAAD battery and additional Patriot BNS to the CENTCOM region are being readied, and this was about 4 days ago. And now USA has finally sent about 900 troops, THAAD battery missiles and Patriot missiles, and another warship in that region. And USA has said that this will bolster the US presence, strengthen their military bases in the region. It will also create a deterrence against US forces in the region, and deterring a full-scale conflict. And at the same time, it will also provide an additional support to Israel in case of need. USA had earlier, last week also, USA had shot down a missile in the Red Sea, which was launched from Yemen towards USA. There were certain troops who were injured. US Navy has said that Houthi rebels had launched that missile in the Red Sea, where USA tried to shoot it down. And also, in the last few days, what USA has been continuously telling the world that it doesn't want the war between Israel and other nation to escalate into full-fledged conflict in the region. But at the same time, US is preparing all possibilities. Many warships have been sent into the region. High quality guided precision missiles were sent to the region, and there is a preparedness for any eventuality that US forces might see in that region. Meanwhile, Syrian war continues to go on. There are multiple factions in Syria who have been supported by many countries, including USA, Russia, Iran, We have seen USA siding along with the rebel forces. Then Russia and Iran are backing the al-Assad regime. So there are certain geographies which is controlled by the rebel forces. Then there are certain geographies controlled by the Assad forces, and these geographies keep changing with the ongoing war. Sometimes some faction take advantage of the situation. But then there are rebel factions, and there are numerous of them. We have seen some of which they have been receiving varying degree of support from various countries present in the region. Kurdish forces, they are also one of the stronghold, and they have been backed by USA in many ways. Then there are presence of Islamic groups, ISIS as well. We have seen USA and other nations fighting against the ISIS. At peak of ISIS, it has captured swath of Iraq and Syrian land. Then there are
Hello, welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. Congress leader Shashi Tharoor has been facing flack for calling Hamas a terror organization. In fact, he was speaking at a Muslim League rally in Malabar yesterday. Even on stage, even as that event was concluding, there were some leaders of the Muslim League who rebuked Tharoor for what he said. Now, according to them, Hamas is a resistance movement. It is not a terror organization.